Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here to be talking about Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Now, this is the beginning of the end, as one would say, of the Demon Slayer franchise, since the show ended, I believe, about a year ago, but the story was not yet over because the creators of Demon Slayer have decided to do something unprecedented, I would say, for anime and, this type of genre where they end the show, but to really end the source material, they're going to do like a trilogy of films like released in theaters and on a big global stage to give the show the ending it deserves. And based off of box office success that we've been seeing so far, it looks like that this strategy is paid off. And so this final arc, the Infinity Castle arc, where basically everything, all these huge fights with all the Hashira, our main characters of Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, all these big demon threats come to a head in the first part of this three-part finale. And going into this, obviously, expectations were really high. I've never reread the manga, I've just followed the show. So I was kind of coming in blind into what was going to happen. But as you see here, which I really hope they do for the next couple of films, where they highlighted there's three main fights in this film that you could tell, and these were the big three. And as you can see, one of them was one of the Hashira girls, Shinobu, versus one of the upper rank demons. Then you have Zenitsu fighting an old, I guess you could say, peer that they both trained with, Gramps, as he called him, and obviously feels angry and betrayed about his, peer going to the demon side and becoming like a monster. And then finally, like, the big fight was Akaza, who we all remember from Mugen Train, killed, Rengoku, and Tanjiro is just so infuriated and angry and wants, to stop him, along with another Hashira and, Giyu there, kind of doing a tag team on Akaza. And so there's so much insanity that happens in this film, and what I love about it is, for one, this may be like a critique that people had, was the development and fleshing out of all these characters, because this film is really long. It's about 2.5 hours, and it isn't just all fights and insane spectacle and all that. It also has a lot of flashbacks and, re-showing scenes from previous, episodes of the show, and doing like big backstories for characters like Akaza. It felt like, I remember in the theater, someone, after like the main fight, someone yelled, "Get ready for an hour backstory." And we were all just kind of laughing, but bro was basically on the money, because it developed a lot for, upper three, and you really feel for, him in particular, and just you learn more about Shinobu, who is one of the female Hashira, and her real personality and her just anger and hatred for demons because of what happened in her past. Tanjiro and Giyu, teaming up throughout the film, I thought was really great, and seeing, since when they first met, and I believe the first episode, to seeing how far, Tanjiro especially has come, but also Giyu, and how they work well off each other fighting the main threat. And of course Zenitsu, who fights his fellow, peer, and just the anger and just how different Zenitsu is. Like, just look at that. He looks so angry and so vengeful, and it's just completely different from the Zenitsu we know, being, always crying and freaking out and kind of like the comic relief, if you will. And like, just seeing these fights and the story play out was great. Now, one of the things that was kind of unfortunate is a lot of the other characters, like the other Hashira and Inosuke in particular, like, they have some little moments in the film, but obviously the main focus is of those three fights and those characters in those three fights. But the film also leaves you wanting to see more. You want to see a continuation, but it wasn't done in a bad way with how the film ends, because obviously, this is part one of a trilogy, so it kind of ends with like more to come. But I think it ends in a pretty solid way where you're really satisfied with the product you got, because again, throughout the film, the fights were great. The animation was like next level. I was blown away at how incredible the animation was. The music that plays during said fights, especially the Akaza fight, was great. And just the overall like sense of enjoyment we all had when watching it in the theater. It was just such a great experience. The voice work across the board, even from big, huge celebrity Channing Tatum, who does a character, which I remember we were like, what? But apparently he's like a big fan, and so him joining the voice cast, I thought he did a really solid job with his character portrayal, and he fit in along with the other voice actors. He did pretty solid. But of course, everyone gave it their all in this film, and I'm really looking forward to see what comes next. So with all that said, those were my thoughts on Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Again, what did you all think of this film? Did you all get a chance to see it this weekend, or do you plan to see it? Again, let me know down below in the comment section, and if you want to hit the bell as well and subscribe to when I upload, that would mean so much to me. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye!